This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the HCEDC Type B meeting, Wednesday, February the 4th, 2026. We do have a quorum present. We have 2 members absent. Jeremy and Leah are not with us tonight. Citizen participation and comments. Do we have anyone in the chamber or online that would like to make a comment?
No one's present.
Okay. We'll move on to item number 3, items of community interest. May 2nd, 2026 general election. The first day to file an application for place on the May 2nd, 2026 general election ballot was Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. Council member place 1, council member place 3, and council member place 5 will be on the ballot. Friday, February 13th, 2026 is the last day to file an application. Item 3.2, city holiday hours. All City of Haslet offices in the Haslet Public Library will be closed Monday, February 16th, 2026 in observance of President's Day. Item 4.1, HCEDC member emails. Do we have an update on that?
It has not changed since the posting of the agenda. So city staff and administration are in the process of drafting that policy, and we'll submit it to City Council at the appropriate time.
Okay, and it's my understanding that this is a citywide procedure, not just necessarily for our board.
I'm not 100% about that one. It's up in the air since we're still in that figuring it out process.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, item number 5, consent agenda. We have 4 reports to review. We have the November 5th, 2025 special HCEDC meeting minutes, the December 17th, 2025 regular HCEDC meeting minutes, and we have our November 2025 financial report and our December 2025 financial report. I'll open it up to the board. Does anyone have any questions or any concerns? If not, then I would ask for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4 for the meeting minutes in November 5, December 17th, and then the financial report for November 2025, December 2025.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, Board, I would like to reorder the agenda and take us into executive session, which is our item number 9. So I would close the open meeting at 6:36, and we'll move into executive session. Okay, I would like to open up the open session at 7:40 PM, and there are no actions to be taken out of executive session. So I would like to move us back on the agenda item number 6, reports and presentations on developmental reports. Mr. Swinky?
Yeah, I just want to run over a few of the projects that you've seen before and just note some changes. These three buildings here, the two office buildings on the left that are behind the women's clinic are now complete. And so you probably won't be seeing those on my slideshow anymore, as well as the building on the right. It is also complete. And there's actually a pediatric facility that's moved into half of that structure. QT, after the next report you see, which I've already completed and sent to the city, the QT is finished. And they're planning on, I think, opening tomorrow.
It looked like it might have been open today.
Well, there was a lot of people there, but I think they were stalking it. But I had a conversation with one of the officials, and that's what he told me. And there's the stoplights there at Harmon and Haslet Parkway. They've been installed, and the turn lanes in, and it's really looking nice.
Do you happen to know why the stop lights going east are so far from the intersection? Does that make sense?
So far from the intersection, you mean?
Yeah, the pole is far from the intersection, as far as you've crossed the intersection, and then you go a little bit more, and then you pass under it.
Well, that's so nobody hits them. And it's when you pull up to an intersection, if the light's up here, you can't see it. It needs to be back away from you a little bit so you can actually see the lights. I know, just like tonight when I was coming this direction, I had my visor down. And if you come up to an intersection that's got lights, you cannot see the lights. And so they need to be back a ways so that you can actually visibly see them.
I got a question.
Yes.
Because I seen it. I was going out of that intersection because if you come out of my area, Caraway, QT's here, the intersection's here. I done had a semi turn down the road into my lane coming down our street. So are they gonna detour them? Or they just gonna have the right of way to just turn down that street and come that way?
You mean when they're turning left to go south on Harmon Road?
They're coming from
Either way,
either way, yeah. Yeah, and they turning down, going in front of our housing area, but they have to go into the next lane to even turn the truck. So why are you
Well,
coming down there anyway?
yeah, I don't know where they're going to unless they're going down to like Keller Hicks or something like that. But, that's one of the growing pains that cities have is that when roads need to be improved. And Harmon Road needs to be improved north and south. And Quick Trip, with their development, we've actually improved it, way beyond what normally would be required, for them, even though they didn't own the property to the east. Part of it was owned by the city of Fort Worth and some other people, which, right away was secured and we could actually widen it out. Now going south, there's some plans with, that'll go in with that'll eventually widen that road out. And hopefully those problems will be alleviated. But right now, there's a lot of cones up at that intersection. And so they got to go, if they could turn in the turn lane and miss the cones, they could probably make that corner better. But right now, they got to go around the cones, and they do go into the other people's lanes. But hopefully that'll smooth out.
Are you saying there's plans have started on expanding Harmon South?
We actually will have a preliminary plat on that whole corner that'll be going to the P&Z probably this coming meeting.
How much, how large is that plat? What acreage are you actually referring to? I'm a
10
little
acres.
confused. 10 acres?
10 acres. It'll be a preliminary plat that'll include more than a potential project that we're looking at.
Okay.
But, you know, that's, you know, it's really not out there and open until it comes before the P and Z, and then you'll see it. Okay, and then the North Cross, North City and North Church is moving a lot of dirt, and they actually have some plumbing in the ground now. And one of the interesting things is you see in these pictures here is the intersection of Intermodal Parkway. It's connecting to Haslet Parkway, and it's currently built all the way down, and so it connects with Intermodal all the way down to Blue Mound Road, but it's just not open yet. So there'll be things like that as time goes on that hopefully, you know, traffic patterns will change. And of course, now there's a big retaining wall that's, you can't hardly see it here, but it looks like it's about 8 to 10 foot tall right through in this area. But they've been doing a lot of dirt work on for the Freeman Toyota site. And this here now is all concrete. So they've got that all poured, and so they're moving right along with that industrial park just north of Pass Drive. And if you go by there today on the CTDI building, there's a big tank right here, the CO2 tank. It's been installed. The landscaping hasn't been put in front yet of it to hide it, but it's in place. The tank is. And of course, you won't see this sign anymore because it's up and running, and it's changing. And then this is of course the fire station on the right, and they're going great guns on that. They're getting a lot done. That's all. If you have any questions, I'll be more happy to answer.
Yes, I do, Morris. On the business that's going to be refurbishing phones, were you able to find out if sales tax is collected?
I have not been able to find out that information yet,
Okay,
but I will be.
following through with that? Okay, all right. Any other questions for Mr. Swanky? No? Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, moving along to item number 7, we really don't have any additional discussion there, so we'll move on to item number 8, action items. 8.1, discuss, consider, and act to appoint Leah Preston, Laura Solderoff, and Kitty Wirtz to the Park Playground Committee established by the Haslet Parks and Recreation Board for the purpose of coordinating on the proposed playground project that was created by HCEDC Resolution 001-025. This item was an item that we had on our agenda in our last meeting, but when our motion actually was made, we used the wrong word. I think we used the word nominate, and the actual word to get us 3 on the committee is to use the word as it's written in this action item, which is to appoint. So is there any questions on this item? If not, then I would entertain a motion. And you can just read exactly as it reads here.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to appoint Leah Preston, Laura Slaughterhoff, and Kitty Wirtz to the Park Playground Committee. Established by the Haslet Parks and Recreation Board for the purpose of coordinating on the proposed playground project that was created by the HCEDC Resolution 001-2025.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, I would call for a vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, Board. Okay, item 8.2, discuss, consider, and act on enacting an agenda-building procedure for the HCEDC Type B Board. And what we have before us is the clean copy of the procedure that we reviewed in our last month's meeting with the changes that we asked our lawyer to make. So does anyone on the board have any questions at all regarding this procedure? No? Okay. Then I would ask for a motion.
I make a motion that we enact an agenda-building procedure for the HCEDC Type B Board
As presented?
as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, Board. Okay, item 8.3, discuss, consider, and act on HCEDC Resolution XXX-2026, which repeals HCEDC Resolution 003-2025, adoption of a project funding the concrete surfacing of the parking lot located at Nance Field. And just to give the board members a little bit more information, because this resolution is being asked of us to be revised, and it was not passed last year, the recommendation is to go ahead and repeal it, and then we'll address it again in the next item, which is 8.4. So, do I have any questions on this?
And the point of repealing it is because,
The point of repealing it is because it was a 2025 resolution,
okay.
and now it's actually going to be enacted in 2026. So for filing and ease of administration for the city.
I believe it also had to do with us not specifying material.
Okay.
Right, it was actually going to have to be amended. And so instead of amending a 2025 resolution, we're actually going to repeal it, and we're going to move forward with a brand-new resolution, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that
Just to make it a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier to follow and track for future reference. So, do I have a motion?
I make a motion that the HCEDC Resolution 003-2025 is repealed, which is the adoption of a project funding the concrete servicing of the parking lot located at Nance Field as presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a second. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, Board. Okay, 8.4, discuss, consider, and act on HCEDC Resolution XXX-2026, adopting a project to fund the surfacing of the parking lot located at Nance Field in the amount determined by the board. So, Board, what we have before us is a new resolution moving it into the sequence of a 2026 action item. And as noted, you'll see that the type of material was removed, and we are just going to say that this parking lot action is to surface it with whatever is determined by our city council, who will be making that final decision. One of the things that we need to do, besides just putting in the word in section 2, the project installation of a paved parking lot at Mansfield is hereby approved by the board. That's where we've just left that generic with no material, no concrete, no asphalt, just generic. And then the item number, section 3, the board hereby authorize expending funds in the amount of. So that is what we're here to also consider today. And it's my recommendation, we raise that figure from 200,000 to 500,000 to cover the cost of whether it is concrete or asphalt. And I know Mr. Schwenke had shared with us that concrete's going to be a lot more expensive, but it will be a lot more durable. So what we're being asked to do is participate in this activity. If they choose to go with asphalt, obviously we won't be spending this full amount. That's for sure. And again, this is just being budgeted. If they choose to go with concrete, we'll be committing to whatever number we come up with as we discuss this item to participate in. And it may or may not be the full amount, but we'll at least determine what amount we want to contribute as our portion of the responsibility. So with that, I open it up to the board for discussion.
I think it gives the flexibility of determining what product will be used, and I think it's a better choice. That way, it's open, and we can come up with some different ideas and costs.
Okay. Anyone else?
I agree. I didn't think, though, that we would be sharing the cost. I guess I kind of assumed we would be covering the entire cost.
And you know what? That could be the case if they come back and they determine the cost is 600,000 and we have only offered up 500,000. They may ask us to adjust that number, or we could go higher if we think we should. It's all within our choice of decision to be made. Right now, we do not know what the cost of that will be, but I think within a matter of a few weeks, we should. I believe our engineering group is looking at that. So, but we have to have some figure. We have to, set this forward because once City Council meets and they approve an action, then the 60-day clock starts ticking, and then we can't do anything until we pass that mark. Is that correct, Mr. Swanky?
Well, it's not that the council action is when we publish it in the paper, identifying that the 60-day clock and that when the public hearing is going to be held.
Right, but that's usually the next day, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so what do you guys think?
I think I'm okay with the 500,000, especially when I look at our balance, which is currently at 5.4 million, if I'm reading this budget correctly. The question I have is, I'm just trying to recall what problem this is going to solve. I think some of this is going to drive quality of life improvements, but are there problems with drainage or otherwise that this money would help solve?
Mr. Schwenke, can you answer that?
Yeah, right now, the parking lot at Nance Field is a gravel, dusty type facility. And when you go by there after a rainy period, all that gravel and stuff ends up on the sidewalk. So it's rolling down the hill, basically, because it sort of slopes up. And so it would solve that and make it into a more organized type parking, with striping, et cetera, rather than a free-for-all on it. And usually when you have a free-for-all, you don't get the capacity that you would normally. So it would help out. Now, if it goes to the concrete and also asphalt, we're going to be needing to do some other things too, make it a bona fide parking lot with to meet city standards, with landscaping, et cetera.
And then we could get more parking, right?
Yes.
To eliminate more people parking on the grass.
Yes.
And sorry, you make the point about landscaping.
Yeah. There is a ordinance that we have in place, and every business in town has to abide by it. For every 10 spaces, you have to have a landscape island.
Okay.
And at every end cap, you have to have a landscape island.
Okay.
And there has to be trees and irrigation, et cetera.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand your motivation behind that statement. It sounds like you're under the impression that maybe this could cost more than what we're offering.
The reason why we wanted to go to asphalt is because the city council has talked about doing a master park plan. And this park may be expanded. There may need to be more parking, but we don't know. And so the thought was, let's put it in asphalt. And then if, as a temporary fix to the problem of dust, drainage, et cetera. And then if it becomes something we want to keep permanent, we can actually reuse the asphalt, grind it up, and use it as part of the sub base for whatever material for the concrete we had put down. So it may be the asphalt may be a temporary situation until the master plan's done and we really know what we're going to be doing. But in the meantime, we want to help with the drainage and also with the dust situation.
And the landscaping is agnostic whether you go with asphalt or concrete
It
or some
is.
other material. Okay.
It is.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
I would like to make a motion that we adopt a project to fund the surfacing of the parking lot located at Nance Field in the amount determined by the board of $500,000 as presented, and it would be Resolution XXX-2026.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a second. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you, Board. Okay, item 8.5, discuss, consider, and act on an HCEDC grant process for local businesses. Elizabeth, can you help us with that?
Of course. So at the meeting in December, I was asked to review and revisit the storefront improvement grant program that the board previously had that was pulled back, I believe, in February of 2025. So this is that program. It is essentially identical to the program that the board had before. I've just cleaned up some of the formatting and some of the references. They were outdated as to the economic development director. Otherwise, it's unchanged as to the match amount and the dollar amount. If the board would like to change that, they can, but we kind of figured the starting point would be what the board had done in the past. So that's what's before you tonight.
So when we say match, and let's say we're awarding $10,000, the applicant is also financing $10,000?
Correct.
Okay. I also wanted to ask the board if, because as it's stated, it's for external improvements, and I wonder why it was only for external. I kind of understand because it improves the commercial property and the aesthetics of the outside, but I guess I was wondering, do we want to limit it to just the external improvements?
The way I read it was that it's intended for the appearance, for the public's their visibility, and I assume that's why it's pertaining just to the exterior. I had some questions as well, and I think it's in the second paragraph. It talks about improvements may include but are not limited to, yada, yada, the windows and so forth. And I wrote a side note here about the parking lot, even though this mentions landscaping and windows and such, but I think it could also involve parking lots. And perhaps I'd like to suggest that we think about adding that, because if you have a really rough parking lot, maybe it's gravel or whatever, and they're willing to pave it, perhaps maybe to make more the parking easier for the customers or whatever. I just felt like it would be good as well if we could assist, if they need assistance to do that.
I would agree. That would be a good addition.
I have another comment. Let me see here. It was, it's number 2, under Roman numeral 2. It says preference will be given to independent businesses not required by contractual arrangement to maintain standardized decor. When it says independent businesses, I assume that rules out franchises such as Sonic and some others. And I know we are trying to draw businesses to the city, and I would like to suggest that those be included as well, because each franchise is independently owned. I don't think it's, I mean, as far as my awareness of this is, McDonald's or whatever, I don't think McDonald's bills the location, bills the store. I think that the person who is managing that particular business is applying and paying franchise money. So I just thought, since we're trying to draw more businesses and such for the citizens and convenience, that we perhaps disregard the word independent businesses.
Is that how you define it as well, Elizabeth?
Yeah, yes, I think, I mean, you have flexibility here just because it says preference will be given. But if the board would like to make it even more, explicit that you would consider franchises, we can certainly remove the word independent.
I have a question on bullet 2. It says to maintain, in the second line, it says to maintain standardized decor. Is that in the spirit of being standardized to the particular brand of that business, or are we talking about standardization across all of Haslet?
No, so I think it's contemplating like a franchise would have certain design standards.
Okay.
So there it's just saying the board would prefer to work with an independent business as opposed to a McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or Sonic, where if you franchise it, the brand is already going to impose certain aesthetic standards.
Okay. Okay. And is the spirit of this that these businesses would approach us for the grant, or we would be approaching them?
I believe they will be approaching us
Okay.
for the grant. And,
Although I don't know how they're going to know about it.
well, that was one thing I was going to bring up. I actually looked at what a few cities did, and I want to share with you, this is what Saginaw does for their businesses, and I'll pass that out. On their website, they actually have a banner like this that provides a lot of information about how you can apply for a grant. And it talks about who's the program for, how do they go about applying, what's the eligible enhancements they might want to make, and then what kind of financial assistance is available for them. So what I was thinking is perhaps we would want to do something like this on our website, And then in addition, once they start providing grants, then they update the website with what grants were available, and they keep a rolling list of how that helped improve the business. So that's something that we can consider in addition to just coming up with the guidelines. We can enhance it any way that we want, and we may want to look at other cities. This is just one city, but we may want to look at other cities as well to see what they have done and then take a best practice from it. One thing I wanted to make comment on is under item number 1, introduction, the last statement in that second paragraph, it says corporation staff will be available to assist applicants through a conceptual stage at no cost to the applicants. I'm not real sure. I don't have any experience in that area, and I'm not sure.
She's on, I think you're on, are you on the next page? Oh, I'm
It's
sorry.
it's the last
Okay.
statement there on the second paragraph. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think from reading how the program was administered in the past, that was the economic development director. And now that the corporation is kind of running itself, that may be a sentence that the directors would like to just strike.
Yes, I don't know. I mean, I'm suggesting that, but I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks.
I have it circled as well. And also, if you scoot back up to the top of the first paragraph there where it says, the Haslet Community and Economic Development Corporation Business Improvement Program, the grant, provides technical and financial assistance. And I realized technical was already in the information previously, but what kind of technical assistance can we provide? I just felt like maybe we need to eliminate the word technical.
I agree.
I agree.
I'd also like to insert the word grant in the title, just so that when someone sees it, they know it's a grant rather than, you know what I'm saying?
Business
We
improvement.
do say the grant in the first sentence, but when I first looked at the title, seeing this fresh, I was like, okay, program. A program could be anything. So I would suggest business improvement grant program.
Yes.
You may want to consider calling it matching grant. That way there's no confusion, and it's
Okay.
just not a,
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. In addition to on the website, I was thinking that we could also have the businesses that are on the directory now be emailed this opportunity.
There's some other thoughts that I had as I read through this. On page 44, under C, alterations, it says the applicant agrees to return the grant money received if the improvement is removed within 3 years. And I was just thinking, what if the business expanded or it changed names and they had received a grant, but that was within this 3-year period? So I thought that might be something we want to think about. If they had a name change or something, maybe it was the same business, but they just either expanded or had the name change.
I think that is covered. They have the option to get prior written approval from the board.
Okay.
So if they were, and, we could say something, we could add an additional sentence to say, to accommodate for rebranding, but my personal recommendation would be to keep the option open to recapture those funds if the improvement is removed. But they can always come to the board and say, hey, we are rebranding or we're expanding and we need to alter this, and the board can give them their approval.
Okay, okay.
Okay, and also under, on the same page, under B, technical assistance, again, it says corporation staff can provide guidance on facade improvements specific to individual storefronts and limited conceptual design assistance. I think we probably should remove that statement.
I think we should remove the
just
whole
wanna- yeah,
section.
I was gonna say
But
that.
I do like the early meetings sentence with corporation staff. This just helps us have a working relationship with them.
So maybe we add that last sentence to what's now C and just say, if you wish to participate, please contact, and then we'll move that last sentence down there and just remove B altogether.
That sounds good. And also, I think we probably don't want names in the process. So on item C, I think we should just say president.
So I guess that'll be one of those things that has to be changed.
Well, that is one item. Would the board like for the president to be the contact person on this, we think? So we can just keep it in title as the president.
Yes, just titled president, but with no name.
What I'm saying is that the webpage would have to be edited every time the president changes.
If we just leave the word president, though, it would be okay.
Well, but yeah,
The email
you're
address.
right. We would need the president's contact
Yeah.
information on the
Oh,
website.
I got you. Okay, okay.
Vista, would that be a problem? No. Okay.
Another thought that I had within this content here is if the board sells some property, and the new owners want to apply for a grant, I'm wondering, wouldn't that be a little bit of a conflict of interest? And should we consider something of a time frame? Because I just felt like this might,
They have to be in a business for 12 months, right? Isn't that on the
Already
first
is-
page?
already established, or, of course, I thought too, so if property on Westport sells and somebody wants to construct a building there, they, of course, could apply for this grant. But in that, if we're selling them the property, I just felt like could be a conflict. However, they could use the money probably to establish the landscaping or whatever as well. So I don't know, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, but my understanding is they wouldn't be able to apply for this grant until the business has been in place for at least 12 months.
Oh, okay, okay.
In my opinion, after that point in time, the conflict of interest has resolved itself.
That's true, that's true.
But I agree that if it were to be part of the sale, that would be a conflict of interest.
When this was taken down, I got the impression that part of the reason was that there was no accountability. And I wonder if that's something that we need to consider, other than they don't remove it within a 3-year period. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, you lost me.
Are you saying that it was taken down because we don't have a economic development manager?
No, I think it was more of, and maybe it was because I didn't understand the grant at the time. And I thought the grant was more to improve their business in other aspects, to expand their business portfolio. You know, maybe it was giving them a grant because they needed some software or something. And so they needed to prove that this software was beneficial to the business. But this type of assistance, you can't really measure. Were there any other edits, Kathy?
Well, I was wondering, I know there's a lot of specifics here, but you know, if a business were struggling and wanted just to revamp their landscaping because they thought that would add more business, do we need to have anything in here? Because if it's a struggling business, do you want to support them, provide the support? I mean, I don't know that would be for
I mean, I think that's up to
consideration.
the board's discretion. We do have in here that the board can grant or deny any grant that they want at their own discretion.
Okay. We could just have that as an unwritten policy or something. Okay.
Yeah, I figured that we'd have our own kind of scorecard, I guess, maybe, that wouldn't be necessarily on the website, but just, you know, what are the things we're looking for in an applicant?
Okay, any other edits? I mean, we certainly don't have to approve this document tonight. We can ask Elizabeth to make the changes that we've called out, and we can continue to look at this process and look at other cities and see if there's anything else that we're not thinking of tonight that we might want to consider and bring it forward at our next meeting, which will be at the end of the month, so it'll be in about 3 weeks.
So if I could just make sure I've captured everything, so you're getting a good, clean copy back. I've got the title change. We're removing the all technical assistance references. We're going to rewrite that preference will just be given to businesses not required by contractual arrangement to maintain standardized decor and features. We'd like to explicitly add parking lot improvements. And then we've removed the specificity, and we're just going to say they need to contact the president through the contact found on the board's website.
Yes.
thing is, item number 2, where you remove the word independent businesses.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea to table this so that we can take a look at this Saginaw and then other cities. Do we want to ask one or two of us to actually do the work, the research, and bring it to the next meeting?
Are you talking about researching other cities?
Yeah.
I mean, we can.
Yeah, like setting up a subcommittee or just letting everybody independently check out other cities. It's totally,
I think maybe.
I don't know if we can do a committee.
Yeah, I started to say just ask each person to look at another city, but just so that maybe we announce a city this evening and we
Yeah.
don't overlap or something.
That's right. Okay, so what are some other, I'll take Justin.
Okay. And we have Keller. I'll sign up for Keller.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look at Roanoke.
Michael, do you have one?
Southlake?
South Lake. Okay, and then we already have Saginaw. So, I mean, that's a pretty good mix of different cities, different sizes.
Yeah.
And I think if we look at those, we'll come back with some ideas to consider.
Okay.
Okay, so do I have a motion on this item?
I motion that we table the HCEDC grant process for local businesses as presented until our next meeting.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll call for a vote. Those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you, Board. Okay. Item number 8.6, discuss, consider, and act on changing the regular meeting date. And this item has been brought up because Mr. Swanky has a conflict with our meetings being on the 4th Wednesday of every month. So I think he'll be able to make our February meeting on the 25th, but going forward from that point on, he would have a conflict. So I open it up to the board to see if maybe the 3rd Wednesday of every month would work for everyone if we moved it, the meeting dates up 1 week, but I open it for conversation.
I'm fine with that. I do want to mention that if we pull the meeting forward in March, I believe that's the week of spring break. So we just want to,
Be
we
aware
may just
of
want to
that.
confirm that date. Perhaps we pull it to the second week to accommodate Mr. Schwenke if other folks can make that work as well.
I think the second week we would have a conflict because I believe that's when the park board meeting takes place. But that doesn't mean we can't move it to another day in that earlier week. It's just maybe we'll have to take a look at that and see.
I think in general, I have no qualms with moving the meeting to whatever date works for
Yeah,
folks.
third Wednesday works for me.
Works for me as well.
Me too. So we're tentatively talking that that would actually start then in April, after spring break in March?
Well, we may need to find another day in March.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we're saying.
Okay.
And that I can try to research and we'll have that information by our next meeting. How's that?
Yeah.
March 2026, the Northwest ISD spring break is the week of the 16th through the 20th. So yes, that would be the third Wednesday.
Okay. Okay, so we'll look at a different date for that. We'll discuss it in our next meeting and confirm. But otherwise, all the other dates will move up to the third Wednesday of every month. And you're fine with that too, Elizabeth?
Yes, I'm available.
Okay, very good.
And that works with the holidays at the end of the year as well, because
Yes.
sometimes we have to shift those around as well.
Yes.
So it's better.
Okay, so we obviously need to take a vote to move it. Then I would ask for a motion from someone to move to the third Wednesday of every month, beginning with March, with that date being reconsidered.
Oh, I was thinking you said that it would be March, the third Wednesday in March wouldn't work because of spring break?
Right, so we'll have to readjust that date, but right now, we don't know what that date's going to be.
Okay, so it'd be actually starting with April, the April meeting, third Wednesday? April, start in April officially?
With the third Wednesday, but maybe we can right now go ahead and set a date for March. Does anyone want to suggest a date?
I think we have to know the city's schedule as well for the room.
True.
I do have at least the calendar that I can see, so I can tell you when, if I can see it, I can tell you. Then we
Okay.
can double check.
So are you checking now or will we?
Yes. If y'all have a date, I can double check.
Okay. But we're for sure meeting February 25th?
Yes.
The 10th?
The 10th would be a Tuesday,
Correct.
Yeah.
is that
I don't think there's anything there.
You're saying for March 10th?
For March.
I don't
Does
see
that work
anything.
for you, Mr. Swinky?
I'm also available the 10th.
You're
if the
available?
board
Okay,
needs me.
good, good.
I'll get confirmation tomorrow.
Do we want a second date just to have in case?
Well, we've got the 25th that we're going to meet in February, so we could come up with a date by then, I would think.
Well, I'm just saying, have her check on two dates, you know what I'm saying? Our first choice, second choice? You're saying the 11th? I think the 11th had a conflict.
Yeah, Wednesday, second Wednesday is always taken by Park Board.
Well, what about that Thursday, the 12th?
We could do that as our second date, Thursday the 12th. So the 10th or 12th. And we will reconfirm that date in our next meeting. Is that good with everybody? Okay, then I ask for a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to change the regular meeting date to the third Wednesday of each month, beginning in April, with the March date TBD.
Very good. Have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I got a second. I'll call for a vote. Those in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Okay. And then item number 11, future agenda items. Do we have, oh, excuse me.
Yes, I
Yes,
want
Mr.
to say
Saunders?
we have one that put on there. We have a public hearing that's going to be held on that day, on the 25th, to go along with those money expenditures that we've been advertising for 60 days.
Oh, okay. All right. So on our future agenda item on February 25th, when we meet next, we will have a public hearing. We will have met our 60-day criteria for our funding of the Metroport Chamber of Commerce and the monies that we funded for the playground equipment purchases. It's those two resolutions. Okay. Do we have any other future items other than we will be readdressing the grant process in our next meeting? Do we have anything else?
The member emails? The member emails?
The board email process. That will probably be ongoing until it's completed? Okay, very good. Any other agenda items?
One item that came to mind was just between either myself or Marcy doing a brief presentation to give sort of a historical view of our financials and our budget and where we've spent money, the budgeting process, which I thought would be educational, and just sort of offer up context of how our budget has been spent sort of historically, which I thought would be valuable information for this board.
I like that idea. That would be very valuable. I would like to see that added. Okay. Any other agenda items? Okay, if not, then I call this meeting adjourned at 8:33.
This conference is no longer being recorded.